This is about to blow your mind. The fraud behind the license. Those who apply for and marry pursuant to a marriage license have added a third party to their marriage contract. The third party is the master, by and through his agent, the corporate state. The marriage license gives the state the legal right to decide the fate of the husband, wife, and the possessions they procure during their marriage. Should the marriage fail, their divorce must now be decided by and through the state's corporate court by a corporate judge. And the judge's first and foremost concern is the interest of the state. The interest of the bride and groom is now secondary. Supreme Court case, Van Costen versus Van Costen. Wow.
Hey, shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect. New is the gospel, bro. Lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. Real quick, this is just breaking down the binding agreement on what they would consider contractual slavery. Okay, which technically we're all still slaves due to contracts and paperwork. Definition of contract means some type of agreement, whether it be verbally or something written for legality purposes and enforced by law. And when it says enforced by law, that shows you that it's dealing with slavery, because anything that forces you to do something and you could be held or you could be penalized for it, it shows you that you're not really free and that you have no control over the particular endeavor. So they were breaking down the marriage contracts, which marriage is just one of many contractual slavery binding agreements that we faced in America, because that's one way Esau was able to keep slavery going, okay, without making it seem like it was heinous or strenuous, so to speak. So they abolished what they would consider chattel slavery, and then they formulated it with what they call contractual slavery or corporate slavery. And that's all that the the Emancipation Proclamation and the Civil War, etc., Revolutionary War, that's what it was all really about at the end of the day. Emancipating, transferring slaves from one owner to the next, putting them under contractual binding, because those slaves of the South, the Confederate, they was fighting tooth and nail to keep their slaves because they knew that it was lucrative. And if they gave them over to the federal government, or the governments at that time, they knew that they would lose revenue off that, okay, because the northern states were pretty much what they would consider corporate, so to speak, in that day. So this is why you have what they would consider corporate America, when you have to go in and get a job, fill out paperwork, social security number. When you fill out that W-9 form and putting your social security on that paperwork, you're putting yourself in a binding contract with these employers, because now you're held to certain standards. Same thing when you sign a mortgage. That's slavery, because the word mortgage goes into debt or death. Mortuary, which means to be killed, or means to die, or to be lifeless, or to die. All right. So same thing with rental agreements, man. If you break the lease, then you're going to be held at fines. And the biggest form of slavery is the debt that comes along with it. Same thing with marriage, because now, like we just said, the marriage contract is a third party endeavor. The state comes in and takes over. It allows them to have their way with the kids. You know, allows them to dictate how much alimony the woman is going to get, how much child support. Same thing with child support, man. When you signed your name on that birth certificate, that document, which is nothing but a receipt for slavery, basically they can come after you. You know, basically the elites can transfer the bill to you, because by law, the elites, or by contractual agreements, the elites own our children. So why sign a birth certificate so they can hit you with the bill of taking care of them? You know, which is ultimately slavery. Same thing with the Title 4D, which is under a contractual agreement, which is not law, but under the color of law. So a lot of times they get caught up in the child support systems because they don't understand their rights, you see. And that's why this man has to go down, because our people, man, we're catching total hell in this place. You see what I'm saying? Like, same thing on the job, right? If you violate certain rules, what they can do, they can fire you. Or if you vandalize or do anything that's for their better business practices, they can take you to court and sue you. Like my job, my last gig, I just left not too long ago. Basically, they had it this way. You had to pre-trip your trucks, right? Let's say if you was in a dump truck or a bucket truck to put up lights or whatever you were doing. If you didn't pay attention to it, if you don't pre-trip your truck and you get into an accident on the road, they can sue you. Of course, the company's going to get sued, but the company is going to turn around and come after you. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're undertrained. That's why a lot of times, man, when they doing the little snow events and stuff like that, a lot of times, man, Jake, they sign that paperwork, but really you don't even have to sign it. But like, look, I'm not eligible to drive this truck. I don't want to drive this truck. You know what I'm saying? But they put that pressure on you and say, well, this is part of your job. You have to do it or we going to fire you. But if you look into their clauses, they supposed to make sure you're fully trained and that you're comfortable with operating heavy equipment. If they're not, then if you're not, then they can't forcibly put you in that and they can't fire you. But they throw that stipend out there to, you know, make you do their bidding. And then if you get in trouble or if you hit something, you're going to get fired and you get sued when the company is supposed to take the weight of it. Because if the company gets sued, they going to want to come after you and get their money back. So this place is totally unrighteous, man. Totally, okay? So I looked up the definition for contract. It says a written or spoken agreement, especially one concerning employment, sales, tenancy, which is mortgage or renting, or that is intended to be enforced by law. So when you're enforcing something by law, that means it becomes an enslavement to you. Read the 13th Amendment, okay? Going down, modern slavery, contracts, human labor. It says slavery no longer seems to be black and white and outrightly evident as it used to be. It says from as early as the 17th century to the 20th century, especially in the corporate world, modern slavery is everywhere and is increasingly prevalent in many spheres of life. Like, pay attention to, right? Everybody that goes to work in the morning, you see traffic jam-packed, it's chaotic, accidents, man. People are in a rush. That's a slave mindset. That's a controlled mindset. Okay? Everybody rushing to go to work just to make ends meet barely, to put food on their table barely, put clothes on their back barely, miseducating your children excessively. You know, that's all slavery, but people, they're so brain dead about the way the world's supposed to work. They don't know nothing else but that. And that's what the elites wanted. You know, you working all the way up to you 72 years. I remember the age for retirement used to be in the 50s and 60s, and then now it's 70s. Soon to be no retirement. Like my grandmother, I think she retired like when she was 62 years old, but she was eligible like when she was like 55 or something like that. And she retired early. But regardless of it is, she's on a fixed income. You see, but yet they work you to death until you drop dead because they don't really want you to get that money. Because all that money they promise you from retirement, you're about 80 years old. You ain't gonna spend $200,000, man. They getting that money right back. So it's all a perfectly devised. It's all a perfectly devised dupe. They're basically duping the people. They're playing. They're laughing. You know, when the elites, they never worked a day in their life. You know, but it says here. It says particularly also where contractual relationships are formed and exist. It says in this article, I would discuss slave contracts as a form of modern slavery for employees in large corporations, highlighting its existence in the global entertainment industry. And listen to a lot of these rappers and entertainers talk about when they signed their contracts and what type of legal binding contracts they was obligated to do. $6 million contract where you got to deliver 6 albums in 2 years and go on tour and do this and this and that. If you don't do it, we going to sue you and drop you from the label. And you won't be able to sign with another label until you pay this back. That's oppression, man. And Jake get into these entertainment industries not knowing the it looks good on paper. It looks good, that money they front you up with, but they don't understand the type of trouble they getting themselves into. Same thing when you signing car loans, man. You're binding by that contract, okay? It says, as the name implies, slave contracts are formed as a result of the need to unfairly or harmfully control one party in a contractual relationship. It says there are usually long-term contracts with unfair terms that exist ordinarily between an employee and an employer. Exactly. Many situations, they are suffocating to the employee and bound so tight such that it would be more beneficial for such employee to remain within the binds of the contract than accept to terminate the contract. Okay, and they go down into slavery contracts and global entertainment industries, etc. You know, we can read all this, but I don't think I'm gonna really get into it for real. I mean, if your brothers want, I can text the link and you can, read this paragraph down here, because it actually gives out some good information. It says a vivid example of working of slave contracts is exemplified in the behind the scenes works at the global entertainment industry. Popular pop artist Prince once compared the contract artist to signed to slavery, describing the contractual relations form as one which turn artists into, it says, indentured servants. Similarly to the South Korean entertainment industry, trainees are assigned into their companies as early as the age of 12 to 13. In the past, such contract lengths went on for as long as 13 years until the South Korean Fair Trade Commission restricted it to 7 years. But it's still the same thing, okay? Just because you took off 6 years, that doesn't mean anything, And it says, and often incorporate another form of modern slavery known as debt bondage. And that's another thing, that majority of the people are slaves to debt. We're slaves to debt because the dollar, the debt note is what they call it. We all slaves to debt. Anybody in this world can pull up a bill right now that's going to stress them the hell out, or they've been harassed by collection agencies or, telemarket, whatever you want to call them, collection agencies. We all have that type of stigma or that type of tyranny or that type of oppression over our heads, man. It's like you can't get away from it. Average child is born over $100,000 in debt, and maybe more. Okay, so anyway, let's get a couple of precepts here, and we just going, real quick. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 4, and I'm gonna start at verses 1. It says here, so I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter, and was on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter, man. Okay, and it goes into being oppressed. We have no comforter right now but these scripts through the Holy Spirit. But if you look at Jake, when he's selling out to these industries, some Jakes sell out to the corporate world. Jakes are selling out to play ball in sports, because they see his power there. But regardless of it, they have no help, because at the end it comes and bite them. Okay, so let's look up the word oppressions, oppressors. Okay, and it goes into a sock, which means to press upon, oppress, violate, to defraud. Okay, it says, shawakwa, it goes shawakwa. In the Hebrew, it says defraud, do violence, get deceitfully. Washakwa. No, it's washakwa. I gotta study my Hebrew more, man. I've been slacking on my Hebrew. I gotta get back on that, man. If you don't get up on it, man, you can lose it. But it says here, do violence, get deceitfully, wrong, extort, to oppress, wrong, extort, to oppress, to be exploited, to be crushed. Sounds familiar, don't it? Our people are suffering like that, man. We're suffering like that. That's the whole heritage of Israel. We're all oppressed. Okay, and who's the oppressor? This damn devil, Esau, Edom. Okay, he oppresses the people. Why? Because the scriptures say it's part of prophecy. All right, and it says here, deceitfully guided, defraud, to be exploited, to oppress. Let's look this up. It says utilize, take advantage. And who does that? Esau. Even other Jakes do that to other Jakes. You oppressed by your own people. You gotta suffer some bugged out Negro is playing his damn music loud. All in hours of the night, making noises in a damn breezeway. That's oppression, man. It says utilize, to make use of, put to use to good, advantage. To make use, abuse, impose, to prey on, play on, misuse, ill treat, bleed, suck dry, squeeze, wiring, enslave, treat unfairly, withhold rights from, manipulate, cheat, swindle, fleece, victimize, live off the backs of, walk all over, take for a ride, put one over one, cash in on a ripoff, treat it unfairly. Sounds very familiar. Sounds like somebody we all know and we come across every single day. whether it's directly or indirectly. Okay, so this is Job 27, and I'm gonna start at verses 28. It says here, "For what is the hope of the hypocrite, though he have gained, when the Most High have taken away his soul?" So what's the hope of the New World Order? Because the NWO is surely based on oppression, solely based on oppression, man. With the elites eating, like they got this meme or this picture. It's like a monopoly board with the elites sitting at the table, and guess who's holding up the table? The people. Okay. It says, "With the Most High hear his cry when trouble cometh upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty, and will he always call upon the power?" Fuck no, okay? But going down to 13, it says, "This is the portion of a wicked man with the Most High, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty." Okay, so you devils are going to pay for oppressing the people. Legal, binding us by these legal contracts. Like the scriptures say, we all will be subjecting to payments. Okay, that's why you got a light bill, rent bill, water bill, trash bill, sewer bill, child support bill, tax bill. You know what I'm saying? They talking about making you pay back the stimulus checks they gave out. Especially when nobody got no more money. That ain't no pressing for you, then I don't know what is, man. Okay? And hey, you should want to get up out of here. Why? Because shit, man, who wants to deal with this? This is stressful. This is not living. You know? It's not living at all, man. And people say, oh, well, we want to get back to normal. Why would you want to get back to oppression? So this is a good thing what's happening in this society, man. All right. So this is the book of Isaiah 14. And I'm going to start at verses 2. It says, "And the people should take them and bring them to their places, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they should take captives who captives they were, and they should rule over their oppressors." Okay, you go to that word, oppressors, the same. It's the same thing we just read in the other definition. All right, hold up. See, it's the same thing. Yep, same thing. Pretty much means a different it's a different word, but nonetheless, it's the same thing because it says to press, drive, oppress, exact, exhort, demanding pressure, to press, drive, exact, drive, taskmaster, ruler, oppressor, tyrant, lord, exactor of tribute, principle, to be hard pressed. Okay, who has us in slavery? Esau predominantly and the other nations. It says here, and it should come to pass in the day that the Lord should give them rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage which thou was made to serve. Okay, yeah, this is hell. You be better off in chattel slavery. You know, only thing you gotta really do is work till your back give out and look forward to getting your ass kicked. This shit they putting on Jake, man, to kill you quicker than a whip, man. Straight up, because like I said, there be times I don't even check my fucking mailbox because I already know it's some bullshit in there. I'm like, I ain't finna check this fucking mailbox. I'm gonna get mad. You know what I'm saying? Or I send that shit back to him. I don't even want to open it because it ain't nothing good. You know, the oppression box. Change the address. All right, and it says, "And the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepters of the ruler, who smote the people in wrath with the continued stroke." Continued stroke. It says here, "He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and now unhindered." Okay, and the whole earth is at rest and is quiet, and they break forth into singing. Like over the weekend, we was looking into certain tunes that the forest make. Mushrooms, they have their own particular sound frequency. Leaves, certain plants have their own particular sound frequency, but you can't tell it because Esau has lowered the vibration of the planet, man, by setting up artificial intelligence, chemtrails, man. He just throwing off everything, disrupted the ecosystems, fracking everywhere. You know, now you have all this manufacturing trucks and shit, man. I don't want to hear that. Police sirens, people jack racing down the strip. This is what you hear at 3 and 4 in the morning, when technically your trees should be singing you to sleep. You should come in your house and you have plants and sort of flowers and rubies and mushroom. You're supposed to hear a natural frequency for these things that soothes your mind, man. It's supposed to be like a natural high, you know, living. But what? We oppress, man. Frequencies, electromagnetic pulses going through your body. You know, a lot of times you have skin irritants because you have radiation going through you. They set up your house behind these 5G towers. You know what I'm saying? You got asbestos every goddamn where. It's a damn shame, man. We got to get out of here, you know? And it says, "And yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and at the cedars of Lebanon, since thou art laid down." It says here, "No fellow has come up against us," which a feller means a person that chops down trees. All right. So I'm going to bring up my last precept. This is the book of Isaiah 19. And I'm going to start at verses 20. It says, and it should be a sign for a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they should cry unto Yahweh because of the oppressors. And he shall send them a savior and a great one, and he shall deliver them. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to end it there. All praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. With that, Shalom and a Baba Ball.